Do you see these sunglasses? I want you guys to see these sunglasses as a means where you perceive reality differently. You see these sunglasses, right? Now, if I put this on my eyes, I'll begin to see the world from the standpoint of these lenses here. Do you understand? You will see the world based on the idea through which you enter and view it from. A lot of us are viewing the world from a particular lens, and that's why we keep getting a set of particular results every single time. The only way you can be willing to change the results you're getting in the world is when you can be able to change the perspective you have of the world. And when you can change the perspective you have of the world, you change the way you think. And when you can change the way you think constantly, you now have a new mindset. When you have a new mindset, it's the same thing as saying that you have a new attitude. When you have a new attitude, then you begin to move in a different way. You begin to have new actions, and when you have new actions consistently, you now begin to birth results in line with the mindset or the attitude that you had or that you have. So basically what I'm trying to say is this: you have to be aware of the lens through which you view the world from. So what lens are you viewing the world from? If I wear these sunglasses, I'll begin to see it from this set of colors. If I wear this one, I'll begin to see it from this, perspective. If I wear this one, I also begin to see it from this set of perspectives. So it's like, you always view the world, will always be seen based on the lens you view it from. So it's very important for you to be aware of the lens you view the world from, because when you can be aware of this lens, you can be like, okay, does this perspective, does it really help me? Does it really make me become a better person? Does it really propel me towards my goals? Does it really make me achieve what I really want to achieve in life? And so a lot of us, so when you hear things like generational curses, what it basically means is these are behavioral patterns or attitudes that we have learned either from the people who raised us. It can be your parents, it can be your guardians, your uncles, whatever. They are the people who now shape the way you view your world. So you cannot really say it's your fault, basically, because you were programmed into it. Is it your fault that your name is Philip or Harry or John or Victor? Is it your fault that your name is that? No, you just grew up with people repeating those ideas, repeating that idea to you over and over and over again. Therefore, if you want to be able to change whatever it is you want, whatever idea you fall through, whatever concept you have accepted, if you want to be willing to change that, you have to be willing to change the lens. And the lens is basically the idea that you accept. Over and over and over again, I've told you guys this, and I want you to grasp this, because until things are repeatedly told to you, it cannot be accepted to you as truth. So when I say that your mind is a soil, truly I believe it is a soil. And then if there's a soil, then obviously for trees to grow or for anything to grow within it, it has to come in the form of a seed. And so there are seeds which are now planted in that soil that now makes your tree to grow. Your tree is basically your attitude, and everybody's attitude is bearing its fruits, right? So for example, I can have a twin brother, an identical twin brother, but then he may be doing something completely different as to what I am doing. Why? Because other ideas have filled his mind, and we live our lives based on what fills our mind. So he may have another idea that completely fills his mind, and he may be in love with something different. I may be in love with this. Why? Because of what and how that idea has filled my mind. It's basically the same thing. So the moment an idea fills your mind, it now begins to change your lens. It begins to enter into your world. It begins to permeate your mind. It begins to enter into your soil, and then it begins to grow. When it begins to grow, then you now begin to have a new perspective of life. And when you begin to have a new perspective of life, you begin to obviously think about life in a different way. And when you think about life in a different way, what happens is that you now begin to take different actions. So when they say your future is in your hand, it's true. But it's just you basically taking responsibility of what you allow to come into your mind and what you allow yourself to think upon and what you believe is possible to you. When you believe something is possible, then yes, it can be accomplished. So when you hear things in the Bible, say things like, all things are possible. Now, let me tell you something. Just to open your mind. Just to open your mind. I'm just trying to open your mind. If you have heard before, and maybe you believe it to be true, or maybe you don't believe it to be true, or maybe you don't like the concept. When you hear things like, with God, all things are possible, what do you think it means? In what state of mind are all things possible? In my mind, every single thing is possible. In my mind, bro, I can be the richest man in the world. In my mind, I can be the strongest man in the world. In my mind, I can be the smartest man in the world. So if all things are possible with God, doesn't that mean that your God is your mind, where all things are possible in? So when you hear things like the mind creates matter, it means the mind is the creator. And if the mind is the creator, then it is just left for you to pick the right ideas for you to ruminate upon. And understanding the fact that the mind creates matter, it just simply has to be what fills your mind, so much so that it now becomes materialized in this world. So I spoke about changing your lens, and the only way you can change your lens is when you have new ideas that can make you to step out of what you previously knew and to enter into what you desire to know. But that doesn't mean it's going to be set in stone. It doesn't mean it's going to be smooth. It just means that you have now taken a different path, and a path that you're not really used to. And because you're taking a different path, because you have worn a different lens, you may be uncomfortable there. But a lot of people think that uncomfortability is false, it's bad, it's evil. The uncomfortability is just like a baby trying to learn how to walk. That's been crawling for how many months, but now it's learning how to walk. It's obviously going to fall and make mistakes. It doesn't mean that walking is not meant for the baby. It just means that the baby is getting used to the aspect called walking. This is a very important thing that you can sit down and think about over and over and over again. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and apply this in your life in your own subtle way.